To this now. Not in My Name is holding a picket. This outside the Zimbabwean Embassy in Pretoria. This is to highlight recent reports of human rights abuses in Zimbabwe.
Human rights organizations are accusing government of using COVID-19 to quash opposition. And there are growing calls for South Africa to intervene. Let's take you to eNCA's Khayelihle Khumalo, who is following that story. Kaya, give us a sense then of how that protest, that picket outside the Zimbabwean Embassy is going. It comes, of course, a day after President Cyril Ramaphosa announced the appointment of 2 envoys to the Zimbabwean situation.
Well, it's been scenes of chaos here in the capital city. So now the demonstrators have just moved away. I just want to give you a sense, what you see currently are the police. So the demonstrators were walking around here, and this is what's remaining of this current demonstration that was happening here. And a lot of things have just happened here because the police are saying there was no permit issued out. And of course, this has caused a traffic nightmare here in the capital city. But to try and understand the situation, we're joined now by the ADF's Dr. Simanda. So, Doctor, thank you so much indeed for your time. Maybe just your immediate reaction to what you've seen today here.
Thank you very much, Akaya. I think what we are seeing here is a situation that I think could have been avoided because, of course, some of the organizers or people understood that, or thought that they had gotten the permission to demonstrate. But obviously, the station commander for Sunnyside, Brigadier Khwari, said, look, these guys had not gotten, that permission. And as a result, she had agreed that, we speak and address the people so that, they can go home. Unfortunately, the public order policing, Colonel Dupisane, interfered, when we were trying to address the people and started chasing people away, which led to the shooting of the rubber bullets or the firing of the rubber bullets, which we believe that had it been not for that interference and had allowed that we speak to the people, the resources that we see that are now being engaged here could not have been engaged because the people would have understood that in terms of the Disaster Management Act and where we are right now, they are not supposed to be gathering because, it means that, people's lives are in danger because of, COVID-19. So we think this should not really have happened.
But now let's just look at the situation in Zimbabwe and how South Africa should step in. We've seen 2 special envoys have been appointed by President Ramaphosa. Do you think that's good enough?
Look, without real trying to water down or underplay what the president is doing, we're not very confident, that the envoy, that the president has actually appointed is going to achieve much. We know that former Minister Mfamadi was part of the delegation that dealt with the Zimbabwean problem back in 2007. And we know that not very good results came out of that particular process. But we understand that him being part of the team could provide, background knowledge to the problem. But we really don't see that, this as a solution. Because the whole idea is, we know that the stand that should be taken right now is that there are human rights violations. We have heard the president himself saying that he's going to have people flushed out. And these are dark forces. So when we have got those kind of sentiments coming from the leader of a country, we should accept and appreciate that there are people that have not voted for him, who will always probably be fighting against him, but they still are people that, regard him as the president. He should not be adopting a stance that says people are going to be flushed out. So, indeed, we are happy that, something seems to be happening, but I think more needs to be seen to be done, to be taking place, rather than the 2-man envoy.
And just before I let you go, so obviously the Zimbabwean government seems to be under the impression that there is no crisis, everything is fine, and just attributing everything to the Western agents.
Well, look, I think the Zimbabwean problem has been going on for 4 decades now, over 4 decades. And I think it's very unfortunate that the Zimbabwean government is always going to be in denial. Because what we have seen happening is, if they are saying there is no crisis, no problem, they should be able to come forward and explain their actions and what exactly is going on. So that people can ask them questions and they can say, look, we are doing this because of these provisions and because the law allows, and we are not just targeting people. Tsitsi Dangarembo, for example, was arrested at her premises. Now, and Hopewell Chingono, was arrested for reporting on corruption, which the government should be, appreciating so that it deals with corruption. And we saw Matutu was also, attacked and, one of the family members abducted. So what we're basically saying is the government of Zimbabwe to be saying it is enforcing lockdown regulations I think is a fallacy, and it's something that we cannot really believe when we are seeing a lot of Zimbabweans fleeing, that country, and we see the opposition leader, of Transform Zimbabwe, is still in custody to date. So what it means is that nobody is allowed to express, their thought, their right to political opinion in Zimbabwe as long as they are speaking against government. And that does not tell us that everything is fine. So something is completely wrong there. And we need the Zimbabwean government to be called to order to come and answer, because we are a world and a community of people. Whenever people don't understand what you are doing, you need to sit down with them, explain it to them so they can understand. Right now, no one understands what's happening in Zimbabwe. That is why you get even President Ramaphosa. We got ANC, for example, the chairperson, Mr. Ace Makashule, saying something is not right. So as long as everyone else has got a question, if you are a good person, you will see that you have to take it upon yourself to explain yourself so that everyone can understand you.
All right, Dr. Sibanda, thank you so much. So he's with the African Diaspora Forum. So you can see that now it's an aftermath, and the police, they're trying to maintain law and order in light of course, the firing of rubber bullets as the police are calling on the demonstrators to disperse. So they've subsequently scattered across the capital city. And of course, we're still expecting to hear from, of course, the embassy itself. For the longest time, we've been trying to engage with the ambassador just to understand, especially in light of today's events.
Indeed, Kai, it would be very much interesting to hear the ambassador's sentiments, especially because, Tula Siza, we heard in a tweet Julius Malema saying that should Zimbabwe not, do anything about what has been happening in the country, then perhaps the embassy of Zimbabwe needs to, of course, vacate office in South Africa. So there's a big call coming here from Julius.
There have been a few people who've been suggesting that, but I would say that's a bit of a, it's a major step for any country to close any other country's embassy. Even countries that don't necessarily get along maintain those diplomatic relations, because closing down an embassy involves you send the whole embassy, ambassador, everyone packing, and you've just escalated issues. And coming back from there may prove to be a bit difficult. But also, if you want to continue to try and influence the situation, how do you do it when you've escalated the diplomatic tensions?
Right.